This is the install video for the CrawlCo storage solution for the KRX, both without subwoofer and with subwoofer. We'll go over the difference between the two. There are corresponding holes for each unit. I'm standing in front of the parts that you're going to first install, and they are as if I'm behind the machine. So this is where the tailgate would mount. You have a left mounting rail, you have a slide, you have the tray, you have another slide, and you have the right mounting rail. They're laid out the way that they'll be installed. First, we're going to install using these three holes. We're going to install the slide. You can see there's a wide side to the slide and there's a narrow side to the slide. We're going to attach the wide side of the slide to the mounting rail. Go ahead and take the mounting rail, let it sit flat on the tray to help you line up the slides. There is some slack in the holes on the slides so that you can easily install them. But I want this distance here from the top to the slide to be consistent from the left side to the right side. So go ahead and just set it on here like this. It will help you keep everything lined up. There's two sets of holes. This is the back. The rubber stop goes to the back. That means towards the driver, and the other part goes towards the rear of the machine where the tailgate will mount. You're going to use the forward hole going towards the back of the machine in all three spots. So you have a choice of holes in all three spots. These keys will slide so you can line your hardware up. All right. Go ahead and tighten those down. You're going to use a 7/16 socket and a 4mm Allen key. Repeat that process on both sides. When you complete that step, then we're going to take the inner part of the slide out. You'll see right here there's a little plastic lever that releases the inner slide. I'm taking the inner slide out and I'm going to mount it in these holes on the side of the tray. Okay, you'll see a series of holes. This piece is going to mount to those holes. When you put the inner slide to the tray, go ahead and turn the tray upside down. Let the slack fall down, and that's when you tighten them. Once again, you're going to use the first hole of the three holes going from the tailgate to the front of the machine. All right, you'll notice that there's a whole series of holes here. These big holes are for the deadbolt. You're going to be using this deadbolt hole right here if you don't have a subwoofer. If you have the factory subwoofer, we're going to be using that one. In a sense, it's just pushing the tray 4 inches out to accommodate the space that the subwoofer takes up. Same with the holes. You're going to be mounting to this hole without a subwoofer, and there's 3 corresponding holes for that hole. If you're going to use a subwoofer, you're simply going to start with this hole and use the 3 corresponding holes. That's why there's 6 holes plus 2 deadbolt holes on the sides. After you've completed that process, go ahead and put the inner part of the slide back into the outer part of the slide. This mounts towards the back of the bed. This mounts towards the tailgate. This is how it should look when it's all completed. Now we're going to flip it over and we're going to install the deadbolt locking system. The stainless steel deadbolt mounting hardware looks like this. There's going to be the spring-loaded deadbolt. There's going to be two 24mm nuts, and there's going to be two thick washers. Everything's stainless steel. And now we're going to mount this to the machine. It's much easier to do it when it's upside down. You're going to install the hardware like this. You're going to have the thin 24mm on the inside or the under part of the tray. You're going to have a washer. It's going to go through the tray, another washer, and a locking nut. You're going to use a 16mm wrench and a 24mm socket. If you don't have a 24mm socket, you can use a crescent wrench. You can use another wrench that's going to be 24mm. If you don't have that, know that a 15/16 will also work. So now we're going to tighten it down. We're going to hold with the 16mm, we're going to hold this from spinning, and we're going to tighten the nylon lock nut so the edge of the nut is lined up with the inside collar of this spring-loaded deadbolt. Now that I've tightened it down, you can see that inside collar for the spring-loaded device, that collar inside there, is lining up with the outside of the nylon nut. So the reason that's important is that provides our exact spacing when it goes into the lock. All right? You get that done. Now we're going to tighten the inside 24mm down to the outside 24mm. So you're going to use two 24mm to tighten that. You can either use a socket or a wrench. And if you're worried about this inside bolt ever loosening up, go ahead and put some red Loctite right in here to hold it tight. After everything's tightened down, it should look like this. Keep in mind, I have this lock indexing facing from the tailgate back. That gives you space to easily get to it when it's upside down. If it was in here, it would be tough to get to. So you're basically going to slide this in to release the deadbolt, and you're going to pull it to an up position, back position, up position, because the end of this is going to hold it open, okay? When you want to close it, you're basically going to turn and let it drop in to lock with the deadbolt. So make sure when you're tightening things down that your orientation is so that this indexes into this position. It'll make a huge difference later on. Go ahead and repeat the process on the other side. Sometimes when you drop the deadbolt in, it's off just a hair, okay, like this. All right, it won't go in. You do have some play up and down, but in and out you don't, okay? So what you'll do if that's the case, because it's precision, I don't want this thing wiggling around. You're going to take these three nuts and you're going to loosen them so you have some play in this. You're going to drop your deadbolt in while there's some play, and then you're going to reset those nuts, and that will take care of that issue. When the tray is completely put together from the underneath side, it should look like this. Now we're able to take this unit and install it into the bed of the KRX. All right, so we got the back of the Kawasaki ready for the new CrawlCo solution. We're going to remove the D-rings in this spot, this spot, this spot, and this spot. That's where we're going to tie into the chassis. We're going to leave the spacer that levels out to the plastic, and we're going to put a 5/8 inch spacer that's provided in the kit on top of it in all 4 of those places. Go ahead and do that, and then we'll be ready for the tray. All right, so we've got the tray. We're going to drop it into the back that's been prepped. Use your 8mm bolts and a washer. Keep everything loose in those 4 positions so that we have some adjustability a little bit later on. It's easier to mount the cooler mounts to the tray without the tailgate on it, so go ahead and do that. You're going to use 5/16 carriage bolts, because once the cooler's in place, you won't be able to get underneath it. And then underneath here, you're going to have thumb tighteners, all right? You'll see if you have the subwoofer lock, you're going to be right below those, which will take just a little bit extra work to install these. If you don't want the thumb tighteners underneath, the reason someone wouldn't want them is if the cooler never leaves the machine. There's space here so that you can have the cooler drain. Some guys never take the cooler out of the machine, so go ahead and get some 5/16 18 thread hardware and lock it down underneath, and don't use those thumb tighteners. If you're using the thumb tighteners though, make sure that they're always very tight so they don't loosen up on the trowel. So once the cooler mounts are installed, you're going to do the straps for the cooler, carriage bolt back here, thumb tightener out here. You can see there's plenty of adjustment to raise it up and down to fit various coolers. Most roto-molded coolers have that notch there. If it doesn't, you can certainly cut a notch into your cooler. We're going to put the tailgate on, the center section first. We're going to take carriage bolts. We're going to go ahead and install them loosely so we have our adjustability so we can fit it to the bed properly. So go ahead and get that, and then we're going to do the same thing with the sides. So once we have the tailgate mounted properly and all the bolts are loose, we're going to adjust our gaps. We're going to have play in all of these. And once again, we had play when we set the thing in here. We kept everything loose. And now we're going to tighten everything up. The first thing I do is I pull up on this when I have it centered, and I tighten this bolt. While it's up, I tighten all 3 of these bolts. Okay, because I need as much adjustment up as possible. And then I'm going to set my sides. And once everything is set, and these adjust in all different angles because these holes are slotted on the back side, you have lots of adjustment. I get it adjusted. These are some pretty good gaps here. So this is what I'm looking for. And then when that's all set, then I tug back on the machine, hold back, and when I'm holding all the way back, I'm going to tighten all of the bolts down into the chassis. And once that's completed, then we're finished with the install. So now that everything's installed and the deadbolt is out into the rail, holding it into place, you're going to reach under and grab those knobs that were indexed forward underneath here. You're going to pull them in, index them downward, and you can see here that it took the deadbolt out of the hole. Now everything can slide in and out. All right, so this is everything functioning. So you can easily get to your Milwaukee pack out, your coolers, everything is accessible. When I'm putting it away, this is the beautiful thing about this new setup, this stainless steel deadbolt system. I go back into place, and you can feel some rubber that you're pushing against that's going to secure that. And then we flip those knobs back into their slot on both sides, and then it is locked in with a stainless steel deadbolt that's 12mm. So it is going nowhere. This thing is rock solid. It looks good. It holds all your gear, and you're ready for your next adventure.